Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us again in a new conversation with a new special guest. Today, I'm so excited because this topic is really close to my heart, is how to support Black-owned businesses. Today, I have a super guest that I'm the most fan of, and they are very, very inspirational to me. And I am so lucky to call them a friend. Selena, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Rahim. How are you? Um,
I'm good.
good. Um, can I just start with saying that I'm just really happy to be here. You're a great influence on me too, and I'm feeling this energy of people of color in Cardiff building each other up at the moment, and I love it.
I know. I love it. Like I'm so lucky that every friend that I asked to do these conversations with me didn't disappoint me and said no. So I really feel the love and I really feel appreciated. So thank you, Selena.
Great. I think it's a sign of a movement rising that's going to just get bigger. Anyway, I digress. So I'm Selena Kaimaur. A quick audio description. I've got short brown afro hair. I'm light skinned, of Caribbean descent. I'm wearing a black t-shirt today with LOR, which stands for Ladies of Rage, which is a Cardiff collective of uh, mostly of women and non-binary musicians. So I'm representing those two as a
That's
member.
so nice. Um, I actually thank you for doing the audio description because I never thought about it. And we have here Nez with us to facilitate the communication with the deaf community. And I think we have to also think about the people who have difficulties with vision. So thank you for doing that. Uh, I want to really start with you because from the beginning, because you are the owner of Aubergine, and Aubergine is a wonderful business here in Cardiff. Can you talk about Aubergine and how it started and where the idea came from? All the nitty gritty. Don't leave anything.
Oh, you want the nitty gritty, that version.
Yes, I do.
Well, this is juicy, and I rarely get to like tell all of the details. Now, if you don't know already, like if you know anything about me, you probably do know that I'm autistic. That's because I'm a big autistic advocate. Um, and Aubergine Cafe came out from, I'm going to say it came out from desperation in myself. I was desperate to find a place where I could work, where I could be myself, and I could be all facets, all representations of myself at the same time. What I was finding was that as a Black, autistic, disabled person, I would quite often have to choose which version of me to present to an audience at once. I'm just going to pause because everything's frozen for me right now. So I'm just going to wait for everything to catch up. So I found myself in a number of jobs, successive over time, where apparently I was really great at that job, really great at the very challenging things, the things that ordinary people find challenging. However, I struggle with some of the simple things. Being an autistic person, for me, one of my representations is I struggle, for example, with the experience of time. I struggle to understand how time works properly. So
Yeah.
little things like getting my timesheets in on time, I would struggle with. But this is enough for like people to say, we're not sure if you fit in well in this team. We think you need to do a bit more work. I'm like, but you told me that the rest of the work I do is better than everyone else. And I didn't really understand this. And like, why don't you just give me some help with my timesheets if that's something I struggle with because of a disability? But over and over again, I found that I was let down rather than supported by employers. And part of that is because they just didn't really understand the experience. One day I had what we call a meltdown at work. That's, for me, what that looked like was I went into the staff room and I ended up on the floor with a head injury. I won't go through all of the details, but basically that's how difficult it got for me at work. And I left that day and I didn't go back. I haven't worked for an employer since, and that was 3.5 years ago, or nearly 4 years ago. And that's where the idea of Aubergine came out, because I asked myself, I said, well, no, I said to, in true fashion, I broadcast to the world on Facebook.
Yeah, of course.
My thoughts about this. And I said, you know what the real problem with being autistic and trying to keep and maintain a career is not that we're autistic, it's that everyone else is not autistic. And I said that if everyone else was autistic, we would communicate more clearly. And we would do things to a higher standard and all of those things. And somebody said, do you know what, you should just start an autistic organization. I can do that. So I did it. But I want to come back to this word about ownership. People do often refer to me as being the owner of Aubergine Cafe. It really is. It's a collective. Aubergine Cafe is a collective. It is owned and run by the autistic community. All of the staff are autistic or neurodivergent. And we do employ freelancers who are not neurodivergent, but usually with the idea that they would help to mentor one of our neurodivergent staff, so that they would be able, the neurodivergent staff would be able to carry on the work afterwards and be trained up. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I was curious how long that Aubergine is operative now.
Okay, so we incorporated, that means we made our business official in September 2018. So that was just over 2 years ago. Since then, we did a pop-up for 3 months in Cardiff City Centre, which was supported by the National Lottery Community Fund. Thank you. Nice. Lottery and all of the lottery players. And more recently, we have flourished into our I kind of want to say our butterfly phase, where we've become a fully fledged arts organization. And I'm so happy that was our dream. And we've been supported by the Arts Council for Wales for that.
So I wanted to, because when we hear about cafes and Aubergine, and you said now you are an arts and a safe place for artists. What is the actual services that you provide in Aubergine, actually?
Okay, well, we are a cafe. We're not currently open because we want to try and get things right. So we are currently investing some money in making sure that we, oh, excuse me, kitty. We are COVID safe. So we've got a health and safety consultant who's working with us to make sure that our disabled and vulnerable customers especially feel safe, and that we're doing everything that we can to make them feel safe. So we're not currently open, but we will be. And what we're offering right now is quite a busy online schedule of arts events, taking the form of poetry, visual art. We've got some online theatre workshops coming up, lots of really interesting stuff. And the important thing is that we're making that with access in mind. So these are programs for autistic people. And in the future, we will be looking at things like bike maintenance classes, how to sort of maintain your own bike, and supporting people on bike rides. So we'll have a local organization who so we are an organization about helping to reduce some of the inequalities that excluded and marginalized communities face. So whilst we are an autistic run organisation, we are not a single issue campaign. We want to improve not just the lives of autistic people, but like those others, those are the communities within which we belong. For example, the LGBT and the BAME community here in Cardiff. So what we really are trying to promote, I suppose, is how do I describe it? We want to create
inclusivity, maybe.
Say again.
Inclusivity.
Inclusivity, yeah. We want to model what it looks like.
Yeah.
I think that thinking that inclusivity means that making sure that you have somebody of each marginalized group on your panel is not necessarily the way to do it. I think marginalized people need to be part of the planning processes, need to be part of like continual conversations in order really for us to have any effect on our communities. Mm-hmm. And so we're really focusing on a ground up approach where we listen to our communities and find out what's missing in our communities, whether that be, for example, a sober space where LGBT people can meet, where it's not centered around alcohol. That's something that we would like to help provide. Or a place where neurodivergent artists can come to look at, for example, abstract art from an autistic point of view, which is quite a difficult concept for lots of us to understand. What is abstract? Because we like things to be tangible. So we've got a series of abstract art workshops for autistic people, but looking at it from a very different angle, it's quite new work for us. So I can probably talk more about it once we've actually experienced it together.
Of course, yeah.
That's just some of the exciting stuff that we're looking at the moment. And we're paying neurodivergent artists from around Wales to deliver these workshops. So we're really about uplifting and bringing our community into our plans, like right from the very ground up.
That's it. I feel like I'm so excited, especially about the sober space. I believe it's not only for because as someone who is from a Muslim background, I know a lot of my friends who are Muslims and they don't drink, and they always feel that there is not a safe space in the bars and all that. So as a sober space is really amazing, and I'm so cheering for it. But I really want to go back to the beginning, because you were speaking about Facebook and asking and talking about Aubergine since the inception in Facebook. I was wondering what kind of support you've got.
Honestly, the support has been overwhelming from the community. We've got support from, of course, the autistic community. And when I say the autistic community, I mean autistic individuals, because autism organizations haven't really shown up for us, except for the ones that are run by autistic people. So that's a really interesting thing. All of the work that we're doing, lots of these big organizations who work for autistic people have not reached out to us and are not looking to like work with us. So that's an interesting thing. Also, apparently they don't appreciate it enough to want to pay us to like actually consult or take part in panels and discussions and things. And that's a really important thing as well. We think that disabled people deserve to be paid for their time, just like BAME people deserve to be paid for their time, you know, in interviews and things. If we're being asked for our life experiences in order to sort of like enrich that organization, that yeah, is a resource I think that they should pay for, because we have bills to pay too. Having said that, I've never taken
sorry, Selena. Nez, is there a chance for you to mute yourself, because your sound is interrupting Selena. Thank you very much.
Mm.
So I agree with you about payment and making sure that all the communities are payment, especially like I agree 100%, especially when it comes to better, like for the better of an organization or a corporation. It's paying is the least that you can do. And I was because I was doing. By the way, I wanted to confess something. I was going to read about statistics and go into that numbers about Black communities accessing the workforce and Black-owned businesses in the UK versus the white. But I didn't want to go in that route, because I think for me numbers doesn't really translate the rights and the situation in the community. So I was just wondering, as someone from the Black community, I wanted just to, do you have any idea what are the difficulties faced by the Black communities to join the business field? Because I think is the answer that a lot of us wants to hear.
I think there are challenges. There are a number of challenges, and I think that these challenges are systemic. I'll give you an example, but I don't want to dwell on it because I really want to try and focus on what we can do. But yeah. So as the director of a business, I thought that perhaps my reputation at banks and so on as a business person might be a little bit better. However, I found the opposite. When I went into one branch of a bank in Cardiff city centre, I wanted to pay some money into an account. I needed to pay a supplier. And I got questioned very, very heavily, and they refused to take my payment into their bank. So I went straight back to the cafe and I sent my white colleague into the bank, and they got through straight away. They were not questioned at all. And I thought that this was a one-off incident, but then the very next day I went into another bank to get some money exchanged, and they refused to see me, and they saw my white colleague again. So we experience these kind of things, which I wasn't expecting that, I'll be honest. And I'm fairly kind of wise up to these things, but I was not expecting that. So there are bumps in the road, to use a metaphor. You're going to come across those things. However, what I have found is that I think, especially in Cardiff, and it's seeping out throughout Wales, we've got networks that are people are looking for each other. I think that Black queers, for example, are looking for one another. And we need to have some kind of beacon, like a lighthouse, just shining a light out there saying, hello, if you're Black and you're queer and you're neurodivergent, you can come here and meet other people like you. I remember Travis, you've interviewed Travis already, haven't you? When I first met Travis, I was so amazed that Travis was just blown away at meeting another person who identified as trans and was Black from a Caribbean background in Cardiff. And Travis has lived in, we grew up in Cardiff. And if Travis doesn't know them, then who else would? So I know you're out there. That's what I want to say. Black queers of Caribbean descent in Cardiff, I know you're out there. Come find us. We need to get together, and we need to see each other. I think there's a lack of visibility here. We've been hiding for far too long. And so I feel like it's almost like a duty to sort of stand up and say, hello, we exist, so that other people know that we exist too. Because seeing the relief on Travis's face to finally sort of see somebody that they can identify with. We sat down with a cup of tea, and I made a vegan mutton curry with rice and peas, just, like Mum would have made it. And we had a chat that not many of the people in Cardiff I could have that same chat with. That's those same experiences. And I'd really, really love to have a space where people feel that they can come to our place and be all of their identities at once. You know, they don't have to hide any of them.
I really love that. I really love how we started the conversation, and then we went to community and the need of a community of support. And I really, really love it because I think it's really important to also give positive examples of when the community actually comes together. And we are seeing this with the Black Lives Matter movements, and one voice is shouting the same thing, and we are feeling a change. Are we feeling the change, or are we just?
We feel it. I'm feeling the rumblings. I'm feeling the rumblings. I'm starting to see even institutions that are very well like grounded, very like typically white cis male run organizations that like really grounded in their own culture here. I'm seeing them start to change things, you know, paying Black artists, for example, to come into a consultation, paying them a full, a proper agency standard day rate for attending. That's £300 a day. It's a half day rate, so that's £150. That's an artist fee. And that is a really important fee, and they're willing to pay these now. So I'm seeing organizations do this now. Haven't seen them really do that before in my experience. Other people may have, but that's not something I've seen in Cardiff and Wales very much. Disability Arts Cymru, they're doing some really great work to really push the Black Lives Matter movement. There's a lot of I think the disabled community is a really interesting community to be watching right now, because we've got not just experience of being disabled and being marginalized in that way, but like lots of us are also LGBT, lots of us are also Black, some of us are all of those things. So we have a multitude of experiences between us that I think that we can really learn from. And at the moment, when the way that the pandemic is going on, it means that we're not going to be returning back to what we knew as normal anytime soon. So now is a chance to start building from the ground up again and change things and start to model the way that we think organizations should be run and should be represented. Now's the time. I think now is the time to plant those seeds, and we're going to see a fruition sometime soon.
And like shifting the conversation and making the new normal, like, so to speak. But you talked about sharing experiences and the importance of sharing experiences, and here you are never shy of sharing experiences with the positive and the negative and the struggles. I was wondering, studying your organization, Aubergine, or studying Aubergine, have you had an example to follow, especially here in Wales, from like a Black owned business?
Oh, this is a difficult question. I think that we've been lacking networks so far. I think this is a time where we need to start building networks. Personally, I haven't seen the representation that I wanted to see, which is why, you know, at Aubergine, we're trying to be the role models that we never got to see for ourselves, because we understand the importance of people seeing people that they recognize themselves in. So especially autistic people, it's like, oh, look, autistic people can run a business. You know, so many times autistic people are told at school, maybe you can get a job stacking shelves. I think more ambitious than that for lots of us. You know, some of us who look like me now were that kid who didn't talk, who bashed their head on the ground, who only ate plain food with no color. You know, it's autistic children grow up into autistic adults. Do you know what? I lost my train of thought, and I'm not afraid to admit it, because that's how ADHDers roll.
That's fine, because I think I love where your train of thought is taking you, because you touched upon something really important as well, because we were talking about the importance of networks and building a network, how important it is, and also recognizing that autistic people are really capable. So both trains of thoughts are valid. So that's why I haven't seen anything. So yeah, good for you. But do you know what? I have some notes here, and actually you touch everything that I wanted to ask you. But I really wanted to talk about this this topic with someone, but I was so afraid to ask this question and how to touch upon it as well, because it's really, for me, it's sensitive, and it's always like frustration, especially when it comes to the Black and Asian and ethnic minority. Every time we are doing something and we are part of an organization, or part of or a business or something, we always have the tokenist label, no matter what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
I don't know how, like, we should, like, I don't know what the message that we should send, that we are doing the job better than anybody else. And I think for me to say this as well just gives me another, like, talking about train of thoughts and where they are taking us. It's also like this label of tokenism is putting a lot of pressure on the Black and Asian and minority ethnic community, especially the Black community, about especially the history of slavery here in the UK, and working so hard to prove your point and prove your existence. So you have to have a lot of pressures of education, and that really creates anxiety, PTSD, a lot of mental health problems. Do you feel the same? Are you feeling what I'm saying? Do you agree what I'm saying, or I'm just mumbling?
No, I totally feel, oh gosh, I totally feel it. And, you know, coming back to that thing about pay as well, it takes its toll, and it takes a lot of energy. And when we use that energy, you know, in interviews and taking part in consultations, we don't have that energy left then to do other things that are important to us in our daily lives. I've definitely felt that anxiety a lot. I feel it less so now, and that's because of one change that I made. It was one change, and it seems quite simple, but it's been quite dramatic for me. I'm really interested in world affairs, but what I've done is I've taken myself out of world affairs business. I've stopped like commenting on it and talking about it and focusing my energy on world affairs. And I've gone hyper local. So right now I'm focusing on the immediate area in Cardiff, where Aubergine is based, particularly South Riverside. So, South Cardiff. We're based in Riverside. So I'm focused on Riverside, Butetown and Grangetown, which are areas that have high percentages of people of colour and other ethnic minorities. And in doing that, in focusing on my immediate community, it's really lifted a lot of the anxiety from the bigger issues. And I'm able to like really just focus my energy a lot more. And that's really helped me. I don't know if it will help everyone else, but I also think that it's not just helped me, but it means that I can actually make tangible changes. I can't to the world's problems, but I can to my neighbors, you know?
Yeah, and it's self-preserving as well, and it's really focusing and being all that. I really hear you. So yeah, good. I mean, thank God you noticed that and took care of your health, because I think it's like you said about energy and taking its toll. It's really to preserve the energy, especially with the climate nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, I'm never going to stop caring about communities, and I'm never going to stop being an empathy-driven person. So I just need to focus that energy. And I think really honing in on what your focus is,
I
I think
know.
is a really positive thing.
Can I say that 30 minutes has just went by really quickly,
Yeah.
and I want to really talk to you for more and more and more. I really want to talk about, um, I don't know, like women in the workplace, accessibility for different communities, black men and the work in the workforce. Because I read something yesterday really alarming about black men are the worst in the I don't want to use the acronym, but the Black, Asian, and minority ethnic black men are the least people to be promoted in a job. It's there is a lot of things to talk about, and 30 minutes is not enough. I think
It
30
is
minutes is
absolutely not enough.
just a conversation starter, and I hope that this
Yeah.
conversation carries on, and we hope that we can support the black owned businesses here in Cardiff and Wales more and more and more. And I think the internet is really good at giving us the tools and showing us where is the black businesses are owned. Do you think that the black businesses owned businesses should label themselves as black owned businesses to easily find them? I think that's a question that I was trying to.
Perhaps. I think that if there was a place where people could go to, like, if somebody set up some kind of like network.
There is a Facebook page called Black Owned Businesses and a
Yeah.
Facebook group called Black Owned Businesses in Cardiff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so. Like some mapping of some sort, or I think we need that. But I really want you that just to at the end of our conversation, I want you to recommend something for us, whether to watch a movie, whether to read a book, whether a person that we should follow, anything. The platform is yours.
Okay. Earlier on, you talked about influences, and whilst I struggled at the time to find influences in Wales and Cardiff because I didn't see anyone who was doing what we wanted to do. There is somebody in the world called Brenda Sanders, Brenda Sanders, and she runs a food justice project in the United States. She's a Black woman, and she is also a vegan, and she brings food to people who might find it unaffordable, nutritious, healthy, food in places where fresh veg is perhaps like a little less accessible for particularly people of color communities. And so,
Is she on TikTok?
I don't know.
I think I've seen a video of her in TikTok. I don't know.
But Brenda Sanders is like,
rings a bell.
I've like a big kind of like empathy crush on Brenda, and I'm when I saw what Brenda was doing, I was like, yeah, I'm driven by this. This is great.
Yeah.
So check it out, please.
I will. I'm check. Like, please, everyone, check Aubergine and follow Selena. Selena, what is your handles on? Actually, I'm gonna. Don't worry. I'm gonna tag you and I'm gonna show all the links and all that. So whether in the comment section or whether in the description, just check it out. Nez, every time, thank you so much for being with us and thank you for facilitating that. Thank you.
And I would like to thank Nez also for helping us to come up with our sign. So the sign for Aubergine Cafe, Aubergine, because we're a collective.
Cafe. Oh yeah, cafe. So Aubergine.
Yeah.
Cafe. That's so beautiful. And like speaking about the Black community in the BLS, the British Sign Language, we were struggling to find Black British Sign Language. in Wales, and it's really beyond me. So thank you, Nez. You are a diamond. And we have to treasure you and preserve you. Thank you so much for being with us. We are so lucky to have you. Thank you. So this is the end, and hopefully we're gonna carry the conversation, and we're gonna. And Pride Cymru is definitely a supporter of the Black Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter. And thank you so much. Thank you so much, Selena. You are such an inspiration. And every time I speak to you, I have a smile on my face. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.